how do you actually design a life that you are never going to want to escape from and build wealth while doing so? This is how you design your rich life in 2026. Let's get into it. If you follow these 3 wealth building pillars that I'll be sharing with you today, you are 100% going to be on your way to building wealth and designing your very own rich life. This is something not a lot of people understand, but it's the number one principle as it comes to building wealth and tying it all together. And it's very easy, very easy and straightforward. And that is exactly what we're going to be breaking down in today's video. My name is Bisola Wiz Queen. I'm a finance and travel educator from Toronto, Canada. And if you're just seeing me for the very first time, I would love for you to stick around by hitting that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy watching it. So let's get into it. What are some of those things you need to put together for you to truly design your rich life in 2026 and beyond? Trust me, it is easier than you think. I break this down into 3 simple frameworks, starting off with a pillar that helps you build your income, which is to make money. Then moving on to the pillar that helps you save and protect, which is to protect your money, save it and manage it efficiently. And moving on to the part that helps you grow your money, which is to actually invest and truly build that into wealth. So I'm going to simplify this as much as possible so every single person can follow along. So we start off with the first pillar of wealth building, which is make money. Income. How do you actually make money? There are several ways for you to go about this. I mean, you've seen several videos online, on YouTube, on social media, even on TikTok these days. You learn several ways on how to make money. But is it about just making money? No, there are several things you can do to make money. Otherwise, you continue to trade your time for money, and that is never going to be enough. So how do you actually break this down into different components so that you can be more efficient and save your energy so that you can truly build wealth and enjoy the money you are working for? Starting off strong is the primary income. This is your 9 to 5, your side job, your weekend job. This is where you trade your time for money. Okay, this is where you trade your time for money. You work extremely hard. If you don't show up at work, you don't do the job, you never get paid. Primary income is very critical. So how do you actually increase your income in this day and age? Number 1 is for you to job hop. This is my number 1 recommendation. This is something that worked certainly for me while I was in workforce. I didn't stay at any job for too long. I was moving between companies from now and then. Statistics have shown that if you want to actually increase your pay from your job, your salary, you need to switch between jobs as frequently as possible. I highly recommend anywhere between 1 to 2 years will be enough for you to move between companies, integrate well in there, then move between companies. If you stay at any job for less than 6 months, please take it out of your resume, as that might raise a concern for your potential employer, unless you have enough explanation for it. So now you understand that you need to increase your primary income so that you have more money from that end and you can use that money towards making more money by other things that we're going to talk about. Now, the other way is for you to think about negotiating your salary. You can negotiate your salary as well, which is asking your employer for a raise. Let them know, hey, I've been doing this much. I would like to ask for a raise. You can ask for more bonuses. You can also pivot between industries. If you're currently working in an industry that is underpaying you, you can learn new skills, upskill yourself, and apply for jobs in a new industry that will potentially pay you more. These are ways that you can think about increasing your primary income at the moment, because once you have more skills, or you move between industries, or you apply for new jobs, these are easy ways for you to actually increase your primary income without increasing the amount of hours that you potentially work. Okay, this is very simple primary income. Next is for you to start to think about your passive income. Passive income is very critical. Okay, now when it comes to your primary income or your end income, you're trading your time for money. However, with passive income, you front load the effort, or maybe you do the work once, but you continue to get paid from that same offer. Now, what are some ways for you to build passive income? You can start maybe building your own personal brand, creating content on social media, selling digital products, affiliate marketing. These are some ways for you to start to build passive income. Again, people think of passive income as free money or easy money. It is not a walk in the park. It is as hard as doing a primary job. It's just that it's something that once you put in the work, it can continue to pay you for a lifetime. For example, you make a video on YouTube. in as much as that video has been posted for maybe 1, 2, 3 years ago, YouTube will still continue to pay you as long as people are watching that video and you're getting ad revenue from it. Now, here's the thing though, once you add new income streams or start to build multiple income streams, it starts to get a bit challenging for you to manage all these multiple income expenses going in and out of your bank account or even your business account. That is where you're going to need a separate tool to help you keep track of all of your business income and expenses. And you need the help of a tool like FreshBooks. FreshBooks is an all-in-one small business software that allows you to keep track of all of your business expenses, income, get paid on time, send out invoices automatically. And this is my favorite part because I work with a lot of brands and sometimes I forget to send them a reminder to pay up their invoices. Some of the invoices are due in 60 days, 30 days, 20 days, or whatever the agreement was. And if you're running a small business, trust me, you have things that you're busy dealing with. You're not going to have that memory to keep track of what invoice is due and when. So you need the help of a software like FreshBooks that would help you send out those reminders to whoever you're partnering with or your customers to ensure that they pay on time. And that's why I love FreshBooks. After managing my business for over 4 years now, I can tell you for a fact using a tool or a software like FreshBooks makes life 10 times easier. So go ahead and use the link that I have below in the description to sign up on FreshBooks today. You're going to get 1 month free trial to see it. I just test it out and see if it allows you manage your business more efficiently. So these are examples of ways for you to start to build that passive income stream alongside having your primary income. And it's very easy for you to integrate this alongside having a primary income because it would require lesser time from you compared to the amount of hours you put into your primary income. Then the final piece of the puzzle of you increasing your income is for you to start to consider investment income, or what I love to call portfolio income, because investment income is not just in the stock market. You can also earn from real estate and other forms of investment that you might have. So how can you actually build your portfolio income? A lot of times, if you invest in things like ETF, mutual funds, the stock market, you can earn what is called dividend or interest, depending on the kind of investment you make, right? So this is essentially you making your money work more for you. So you put your money into the stock market, then you earn dividend, right? When a company makes money, they distribute their returns to all of their shareholders in form of dividend. That's like a thank you for investing with us. Okay, and that's what we call investment income. However, with investment income, you need to already have some money that you can invest to help you build that income. So while you're working your way from your earned income, which is your primary income, then you also should work your way to passive income, which is continuously building less work but some money. Then you should be building on top of that to earn investment income or portfolio income. I hope this makes sense. Now let's move on to the middle part, which is really fun because not a lot of people think about this. It's not about how much money you make, but how you manage what you make. Sometimes income is never enough. In fact, I feel like income is never actually enough. Most of the people that I've spoken to that earn multi-six figures a year, sometimes they struggle. They don't have money to show for it. You ask them, do you have investment? They don't have anything. You ask them, what do you have? Do you have any savings? They are still in a lot of credit card debt. They are still in living paycheck to paycheck, struggling and feeling like they're living on air. And it shouldn't be so. Why is this happening? Because they don't know how to manage the money that they make. Which brings me to the part where you now need to learn how to save and protect or manage the money that you made from your income. Now, when it comes to saving money, we always all think about budgeting. Budgeting is very important, but not a lot of people like it. When you talk to people about budgeting, all that comes to mind for them is restrictive. It feels like I'm suffering, makes me feel broke. They have all these negative connotations towards budgeting. However, I'll tell you this, without a budget, it feels like you're going to a destination without a GPS. That's literally what it is. Your budget is meant to act like a financial GPS guiding you on your financial journey. Once you have now understood that having a budget is very essential to get to your destination, where you're driving to, where you're going to, it becomes 10 times easy for you. You become less stressed because you know, oh yeah, I'm doing this because it makes my financial journey, my wealth building journey 10 times easier. Okay, so how do you actually start to allocate the money you should spend, you should save, or plan for the future? So when I'm allocating my money that I want to save, I like to think of them in 3 different buckets. The first bucket is the emergency fund, the second budget is the sinking fund, and the last budget is my enjoyment fund. And why do I like to do it this way? It's because I want to ensure I'm living life to the fullest and not feeling like I'm sacrificing or depriving myself of anything. So let's explain what each of these buckets could mean. The first one, which is the emergency fund. This is money that you are setting aside for unexpected or unforeseen unforeseen contingencies. Life can happen at any time. Tomorrow you're driving down the street, you pop your tire, or you lost something, you have to fix it. That is money that you have not prepared for. You need that emergency fund to be able to help you take care of that. Emergency fund is expected to be anywhere from 3 to 6 months of your monthly living expenses. Now, once you have that saved, I highly recommend you put it in a high interest savings account. I would leave some recommendations below for those who might be residing in Canada if you want to check it out. Now, once you have your emergency fund set aside, you need to start thinking about setting money aside for different sinking fund. Sinking fund is basically money that you are preparing for expenses that you know would happen. So emergency fund, unforeseen contingencies, unforeseen expenses. Sinking fund, money or expenses that you know would happen. For example, it could be things like you were planning a trip. It could be things like childcare. It could be things like you're planning to buy a car, a laptop, whatever it is. You could have different sinking funds for them. So I like to set aside separate accounts for sinking funds that I know would come up for me. So personally, I have charity and tithe, I have travel fund, and I also have taxes. Those three are the top sinking fund that I have alongside my emergency fund, which I set aside in separate accounts in one bank. That way, once you set it aside in separate accounts, there is no temptation for you to spend it because it's splitted out. And if you're taking money from, for example, maybe for your travel, then if it's time for you to travel, you know, yeah, I have the money for travel without feeling like I'm depriving myself for it. And last but not the least is maybe your enjoyment. These are things like wants, things that you know just helps you live a better, happy and fulfilling life. I believe if you are using a budget and you have this allocated savings, it makes your life 10 times easier when it comes to managing your money. Now let's move on to the final piece, which is growing money. Growing money is my favorite part because this is where you get to see the accelerated growth and you know you're planning for the long-term future. There are several ways for you to grow your money. We're going to talk about a few of them today and hopefully in subsequent videos as well. Number one way that has typically worked for me is things like investing in the stock market. Investing in the stock market is basically you buying stocks and shares of companies, and in the hope that those companies would grow and do well, you get to enjoy some returns in form of dividends or capital gains. So what are examples of investments that you can put into the stock market? You can buy things like ETFs or index fund are really good ways for you to invest your money. There's also mutual fund, but mutual fund is very much different from index fund or ETF because I recommend ETFs and mutual funds because they are usually low cost way to build wealth. With mutual fund, it's actively managed. It's a pool of funds from different investors actively managed by a fund manager, so there is a higher fee for mutual fund. Then you can also consider index fund. I personally recommend you look into index funds and low cost ETFs so that way you're spending lesser amount of money on management of that investment and it's easy for you. Then you can also buy stocks of companies that are reputable. Of course, I never recommend buying penny stocks because it's almost like gambling, like you're trying to see if it's going to win, right? Instead, I'll say you buy things like blue chip stocks or reputable companies that you know that are you've maybe used their product and you even know that they are doing well in the market. Another way for you to invest, which I believe would have a higher barrier to entry, is through real estate. Real estate is considered to be one way for you to buy assets such that with that asset you can earn things like rental income, even capital appreciation. The value of that property would go up and whenever you sell you make more money. But the only thing though with real estate, the country, the location, you need capital. Down payment would really impact if you are going to be able to make that purchase. Whereas with you investing in the stock market, literally anyone can start with as little as $1. You understand? So these are the things that you need to keep in mind. If you want to actually grow your money, you can start anywhere. $1 can be more than enough for you to actually start investing. But if you want to buy real estate, you need to set up to 5% down payment for that property, and you also need to run the numbers to make sure it's the right fit for you. Now that you understand the 3 core pillars of building wealth, which is increasing your income, managing your money, and building or growing your money, you tie them all together in one piece and they all flow and sequence into one another. However, there are some common pitfalls that could hold you back from truly building wealth and designing your rich life. Let's talk about them. Number one is lifestyle inflation. Please be very mindful of this, because as your income starts to increase, there will be that temptation for you to continuously increase your expenses as well. I've seen many people become a victim of this. Your income increases a little bit, then your expenses goes up to match up with that lifestyle, and it's almost impossible for you to build wealth that way, because that extra income that you've made would now be written off with expenses. So how do you manage that? In as much as once you increase your pay, you want to reward yourself, I would say seek other ways that you can celebrate your win without feeling like you need to get into long-term expenses increase. Now, the second mistake is forgetting to prepare for taxes. Child, I see a lot of people fall victim of this. When you start to build that extra income, that side income, passive income, digital income, they forget that taxes are a thing. If you are running a business on the side where you have to pay the taxes at the end of the year, it's your responsibility to keep track of the income, the expenses, which is why I recommended FreshBooks to help you manage that. But at the same time, you also need to remember that the taxes would not be due when in that current year. It will be due in the coming year when you are actually filing your taxes. So once you are earning those passive income, be very intentional or be mindful about setting aside a certain amount of money so that you can put it towards taxes whenever you eventually file them in the coming year. There's nothing that goes beyond the sight of the law. They are keeping track of it, and the government will come knocking for their money when the time is right. So the third mistake that I've seen people make is not using tax advantaged investment account. If you're someone who has just recently started investing, I want to make sure that you know what tax advantaged accounts are and you're using them to your benefit. Tax advantaged account allows you to reduce your tax expenses or your taxes whenever you sell your investment. The whole intention of investing is for you to make profit, is for you to grow your money. And once you grow your money, you're earning extra income in form of either dividends or capital gain. Ideally, when you sell off your investment, you made some profit, you're expected to give taxes to the government back. However, if you have used a tax advantaged account, you get to keep more of your tax dollars in your pocket. If you reside in Canada, you can check out the account called TFSA. It's a tax-free savings account that allows you to enjoy tax-free returns on your investment. Regardless of wherever you live in the world, there might be a tax advantaged account for you. Just go ahead and do a quick Google search to find out. The third mistake that I see a lot of people make is not investing early enough. Sometimes people think that you need to have all the money in the world for you to start investing, which is completely false. You can start investing at your level. Like I said, you can invest with as little as $1. I always recommend to take a portion of your monthly income or your paycheck, dedicate it into your investment, and leave it and forget it. Don't think about investment as short-term wins or something you want to take out your money from really soon. But it's very important for you to start investing early, because the biggest advantage that investors have is time. So the earlier you start investing, the better for you. You get to enjoy what is called compound interest. Your money will continue to grow on top of the money, and you continue to get better and better, bigger returns with time. So I highly recommend you start investing as early as you can. Once you start making that income, set aside some money for investment. Last but not the least, if you set up a business, a side hustle, freelancing, passive income, other streams of income that you are running as a small business owner, you have to ensure you're keeping track of all of your business income and expenses, especially your receipt. There are so many expenses that you can get tax deductions from if you keep track of them. But a lot of times people do not even remember these things. They don't keep track of them. Then when tax season comes a problem. You're not able to account for the money, or you don't even remember to report them to the government to help you keep more money back in your pocket. The whole point of this is if you keep track of it, then you're able to get more tax write-off and keep more and earn more profit, or keep more money back in your pocket. However, if you don't even know that those expenses exist because you're not keeping track of it, then you forget. And that is why I highly recommend you check out the sponsor of today's video, FreshBooks. Go ahead and use the link that I'll leave in the description box to get 30 days free trial to see how you can use FreshBooks to help you keep more of your tax dollars back in your pocket by keeping track of your business expenses, your business income, sending those invoices out on time, downloading the reports that you're going to need for the government, for your accountant, or for your tax filing anytime, any day. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you would like me to make another part of this to go even deeper, leave a comment below. If you have any questions whatsoever as it relates to this video or managing your finance and actually building wealth, leave those comments below for me as well. I'm more than happy to cover them to help you gain more clarity and truly build wealth this year. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.